everyone. In the present video, I will discuss about Antonio Gramsci's concept of hegemony. When we say hegemony, a very obvious meaning comes to our mind: domination. But domination is different from hegemony. According to Gramsci, there is a difference, there is a distinction between hegemony and the domination. So how we can understand Gramsci's idea of hegemony and how it can be relevant even in the present time, that we would try to understand. Let's begin. Gramsci was a Marxist, but he was not economic determinist. As we know, most of the Marxists or the Marxian scholars tries to understand the various issues, various problems, various institutions in the economic context, and what we call as economic determinism. That is, economy or infrastructure determines the superstructure. There is other aspects of the society or institutions. So here Gramsci had not used economic deterministic point of view. Rather, he believed that economy, culture and politics are three important domains of the society, have an organized system of exchange, organized system of mutual exchange and relationship. And what is this mutual exchange and relationship? This is the exchange and the relationship of influence or network of influence. That is, these three important domains, they mutually influence each other. And these three important domains, that is culture, economy and politics, maintains a process of relationship, process of exchange, process of influence, and this process is called hegemony. According to Gramsci, this process of maintaining influence among these three domains is hegemony. So hegemony is not simply the domination of one class over other, or one person over other, or one group over other. No. According to Gramsci, this is a process of influencing or process of influence among these three domains, that is culture, economy, politics. Here most important part is that Gramsci had not just focused on the economy, rather he also took into consideration the culture and politics, what other Marxists had not done. So this is very important issue here. Now come to the point that how the Gramsci developed this idea of hegemony. As we know already that Gramsci was not the first scholar to introduce hegemony. Rather, Gramsci used the Lenin's idea of hegemony. That is, Gramsci's use of hegemony or Gramsci's conceptualization of hegemony mainly derived from the Lenin's concept of hegemony. Now, why Gramsci developed this concept of hegemony, or how Gramsci's concept of hegemony developed? It was mainly because of the defeat of working class revolution or workers' revolt in Europe, and mainly it was because of the defeat of workers' revolution, workers' movement in Italy against the bourgeoisie, against the state, against the owner class. So that defeat made the Gramsci think in a different way and try to understand the reason and consequences. So this particular situation instituted the idea of hegemony in the works of Antonio Gramsci. Now Gramsci, as I have already mentioned, was not the first scholar or person to use hegemony. Rather, he applied Lenin's concept of hegemony. According to Gramsci, Lenin particularly highlighted three important aspects of the hegemony. According to Lenin, working class revolution cannot be understood just as a simple contradiction within the economic sphere. Rather, we must take into account the cultural dimensions, political dimensions. Lenin also argued that apart from proletariat or working class, bourgeoisie was also in a state of maintaining their hegemony. Bourgeoisie was also organized within it to oppose working class. So they were also trying to maintain their hegemonic process. Lenin also argued that oppression of the class or oppression of the working class cannot be simply understood in isolation or in economic context, because this oppression can be understood in relation to the other dimensions, that is state, politics, culture and all. So Lenin here mainly focused on various other dimensions of the process of hegemony. So this particular understanding of the hegemony was used by Gramsci, but Gramsci had developed it further. And Gramsci's main point is that the working class can be hegemonic, but that hegemonic does not mean that a class is becoming dominant. Here hegemonic means how a class can be formed, how a class can maintain an alliance, how class can be part of this network of influence, and how class is connected to the politics, culture and economy. The simply working class revolution for the interest of working population or working group is not making the working class hegemonic. So here Gramsci tried to understand the actual situation of the working class revolution and how a working class can be a hegemonic group, that he tried to understand. So according to him, that is, Gramsci argued that working class must also involve other subaltern groups, that is, proletariat should not just confine their movement for the industrial working class, for working people. Rather, they should also involve other oppressed groups, subaltern groups, mainly the peasants. So here Gramsci particularly focused on the peasants in the Italy. And this is not the end of the process. Now question comes that for what a revolutionary movement can operate, for what a movement can be initiated. It's not only for economic interest. Rather, according to him, there must also be the cultural interest, political interest. What may be the cultural interest? Here Gramsci focused on the two important things, that is Catholic Church and Southern questions. That is, his main analysis was in the context of Italy. So he found that the people who were the believers, they were under the influence of the Catholic Church, and even in the Catholicism, mainly in the southern part of the Italy, there was already a feudalistic divisions. So the dominations of landlords, domination of the priestly class over the common people were there. So the working class revolution should also include these peasantry, these oppressed class, these subaltern groups into its alliance. So the formation of alliance can be the hegemony, or hegemonic group. So this formation of alliance can be considered as a process of hegemony. Here Gramsci tried to present a very important issue. What is this issue? The issue of leadership. Because working class revolution cannot be carried out, cannot be in operation without leadership. Who will lead? According to him, working class revolution can led by the industrial workers. But it's not necessary that they would lead always. What if their leadership is challenged by other subaltern groups? Then if it is challenged, and if the other subaltern groups attains the opportunity, then they may come up as a leader of the working class revolution. So here point is not that who is leading, point is that leadership is very important. One very important highlight of this leadership is that a leading class, a leading group within the working class revolution, there must be a leading group. There is not that the common people all are leading the revolution. No, there is a elite or a leading group who is leading. They must be collective, or they remains collective. If they are not collective, they may fail in undertaking various activities, in carrying out various activities. They must be collective. That is, they must include other subaltern groups. Then leaders of the working class revolution sometimes also take into account certain cultural interests which may not be progressive for the revolution, but they must take into account these into its activity, into the activities of the revolution, just to make an alliance with the groups who are part of this revolution. Then leadership and its acceptance. To what extent people accept the leadership of the working class revolution, and why they would accept. They would accept, they would follow the leaders, but there is also a possibility that other subaltern groups may again come up as a leader, or they may form another faction and may lead the revolution. In this case, there may be the exchange of the groups, there may be the circulation of the groups. But this working class, you see, in this working class revolution itself, there is an exchange and network of the leadership, or network of the leadership groups. It's not that only one group is leading the working class revolution. No, one is leading, there is one group is leading the working class revolution. The other peoples, other masses are accepting, but there also may be a situation when this particular leadership group may be challenged and another group may come and emerged. They will start leading, so there will be replacement. So according to Gramsci, subalterns may become the leader from just being the follower. That is, they may become the leader or the main agent of the revolution from their status of being just the follower. Then another important issue here comes up, that hegemony and its ultimate end, that is ultimate end of the process. There is no end of the process. Hegemony has no end. There is a continuous circulation, continuous process of the exchange, mutual exchange, a network of exchange, because this network of exchange itself is hegemony. There is no end in the hegemonic process. Another important issue of the hegemony is, if people do not accept the leadership of the hegemonic group, then what would happen? There may be the legal political agency which may controls them, or there may be material economic agency which may controls them. How? Here the modern democracy came up with these mechanisms, that in the modern democracy the government, state is not just maintaining hegemony, they are also looking after the interest of the subalterns, other common people, that is their health, their education, their income, their other facilities, they are taking care of, so that the common people, masses, accept the leadership. Leadership also take into account the cultural interest of the common people, so that they get acceptance. They get acceptance among the common people. Even Gramsci also pointed out that in the democracy, people are being convinced that they are governing the state. They are running the government, or they are electing the government. But according to Gramsci, this is just an illusion, because the hegemonic process made the common people think that they are running the government, because it gave them opportunity to change the government, to elect their representatives, to change the government in a frequent pattern through a particular process. So they take part in all the process of formation and change, and it has developed a illusion that common people are running the state and government. But according to Gramsci, this itself is one mechanism of maintaining hegemony over the common people. And this is a very important element of the leadership, because leadership plays a very important role in maintaining the process of hegemony. Then last important dimension of this leadership is force. But two important elements he has mentioned: coercion and consent. What kind of force, and whether people have the consent for it? So these issues we will discuss in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.